Hello everyone, today we'll be seeing how fast Yveltal can beat Pokemon X and Y in a solo run challenge. Let's get straight into the video. In the previous video, we ran this thing's counterpart, Xerneas, in Pokemon X and Y, and Xerneas honestly did pretty dang great, although it did have some early game disadvantages that I'm hoping won't be as bad with Yveltal. If you take a look at our base stats, we have 126 HP, 131 attack, 95 defense, 131 special attack, 98 special defense, and 99 speed. These stat numbers may look familiar to you, but that's because they are. These are the exact same stats as Xerneas. So we are a balanced attacker, very fast, pretty decent defenses. So I'd say this thing's going to do quite well. But honestly, if the stats are the same, the main difference is going to be in its move pool. For example, we start off with Razor Wind, Taunt, Roost, and Double Team. Our only attacking move is Razor Wind until level 10 when we get Air Slash. You may see Hurricane at level 1, but that's a move reminder move because they had to throw in Double Team at level 5, so that overrode Hurricane, which is kinda bad, but oh well. And then throughout the rest of the levels, at level 18 we get Snarl, 26 Oblivion Wing, which is this Pokemon's signature move. It's basically a flying type leech life, but very powerful, so I'm really looking forward to using it. And then we get Disable, Dark Pulse, Foul Play, Phantom Force, Psychic, Dragon Rush, Focus Blast, Sucker Punch, Hyper Beam, and Sky Attack. One major difference though with Yveltal that Xerneas did not have the advantage of is that this Pokemon actually gets a same type attack bonus move at level 10, when Xerneas had to wait till level 35, so already we have an advantage there. Plus, if you look at our TM set, our good moves include Hone Claws, Dragon Claw, Hidden Power, Hyper Beam, Psychic, Shadow Ball, Aerial Ace, Steel Wing, Focus Blast, Sky Drop, Acrobatics, Shadow Claw, Giga Impact, Rock Slide, Dream Eater, U-Turn, and Dark Pulse. So not the best coverage, but we still get some decent options. We unfortunately don't get Thunderbolt like Xerneas did, but I'm sure this Pokemon will be just fine. Since I went over the basic plot of X and Y, in addition to all the minor things I do in these runs in the Xerneas video, which resulted in that video being around 50 minutes long, I'm basically going to start skipping more and more things that really aren't that necessary to talk about. So if you want to know like basic plot, where some ethers are, that kind of stuff, you may want to refer to the Xerneas video that I uploaded earlier in the week. So anyway, once I finish the early game talking, I go ahead to Route 2 after I buy some Pokeballs, catch the scripted Pidgey encounter, and then I can catch either a Zigzagoon or a Bunnelby for an HM user. It generally doesn't matter which of the two I get because they both get Cut and Surf, but in the end though, the Kanto starters can just use Cut and or Surf. So honestly, catching them here is only meant to just fill up my party, because I need a full party of 6 when catching these scripted Xerneas encounter in Lysander Labs, so that way the Xerneas is not put into slot 1 of my party. Once I catch the Pokemon I need, I make my way through the Santaloon Forest, through Route 3, and up to Santaloon City. I don't even want to consider taking on Viola until I can get level 10 for Air Slash. And then once I do, I go ahead and take on the Bug-type gym leader, Viola. Viola leads off with her Surskit. Air Slash one-shots it, and then next up is her Vivillon. It is also a one-shot. That is actually kind of surprising because Viola's Vivillon tends to be really defensive, so I'm actually glad at one-shot, but it's not like it would have mattered anyway. Her team is just really bad. Even if I wasn't using a legendary, it's still bad. So now I get the experience share, I turn it off, and then I head my way up to Lumio City. I defeat Professor Sycamore. I just choose one of the Kanto starters, it doesn't really matter, but in the case of this run, Bulbasaur. I go ahead and enter Route 5 and defeat Tierno. On this route, I could get the TM for Hone Claws, however, I really do not need that setup move for this Pokemon, because if you look at my rule set in the description below, I only ban the TM for Double Team until level 100, and since I have the move on my level up set, that means that is going to be my main setup move for Yveltal. so be prepared for double team shenanigans today. And besides, I plan to mainly be a special attacker, so Hone Claws would not help in that aspect anyway. So with that out of the way, I go ahead to the Parfum Palace, I get the Amulet Coin to farm money for repels, potions, and a crap load of vitamins later in Laver City. Then I wake up the Snorlax, and then I head on over, do the multi-battle with all my friends. Nothing too eventful happens here. I make my way through the connecting cave, and now I'm on Route 8. I'm going to fight a lot of these trainers while I'm here because at this point, the increase in the level curve in X and Y especially is starting to become really noticeable, so I don't want to fall too far behind in levels, especially since Yveltal, like its counterpart Xerneas, is also in the slow XP group. And also, I didn't go over nature and ability. The ability is Dark Aura. It increases all dark type moves on the battlefield by 33%. Also, the nature is Timid, which is plus speed and minus attack. The reason we need plus speed is mainly because of Calem's Jolteon in the later parts of the game, because if we don't have ways to outspeed that thing, it's going to hit us for an exorbitant amount of damage. And besides, we don't really need an increase in our attack or special attack anyway, because of how high the stat is, so honestly, increasing the speed is going to be beneficial. Especially also since Clement, the electric type gym leader, has a Emolga. His Emolga has 84 speed, so I gotta make sure I outspeed it. But it's honestly mainly for the endgame because, as I mentioned in the Xerneas video, the fastest Pokemon in the game is Malva's Talonflame with 183 speed. So this is mainly to make sure I outspeed them because I am in the slow level up group and I might be skipping rare candies, we'll see. I finish up all the errands in Ambria Town as well as the Glittering Cave. And then I can head my way through the lower section of Route 8, getting a rare candy along the way. And then I enter Solage City. I am very, very worried about Grant in this run, just because I am going to be weak to rock types. So I will be making sure to do a bunch of the training in the surrounding areas while I can. I enter Grant's gym at level 23. I take out the gym trainers that I think I'm able to beat. However, on the first trainer here with Relicanth, I do end up fainting here because of Rock Tomb lowering my speed, and it actually outspeeds me and knocks me out. So I actually have to go ahead and let everything faint. But for some reason, this trainer here is being a pain in the butt. He's going ahead and using Yawn first before he can do anything about knocking me out. He's literally doing this just to stall the fight and just waste my time. So I'm just going to take the blackout, and then when I fade back in, we are going to go ahead and take on Grant. Grant has 2 level 25 Pokemon. He leads off with a Mora. It does have Refrigerate as an ability, so its takedown will do ice type damage. I go ahead and use a couple of double teams as it gets off a Thunder Wave. Once I get enough setup that I think I need, I go ahead and use Snarl for not that much damage, but I do end up knocking it out. I'm going to have to continue using this just because all of his Pokemon will resist Air Slash. Fortunately, all the double teams come through to me, I miss all the Rock Tombs, and Yveltal beats Grant on the very first try. Nice, at least I don't have to worry about this fight anymore. Although, even if I couldn't use double team, I would probably have just gotten Hone Claws and go full physical or something. I would have had other plans. I go ahead and make my way through Route 10 up to Geosenge Town and then into the Reflection Cave. Even though I am weak to rock type moves as I've mentioned earlier, and a bunch of black belts in here have fighting types with sturdy and rock moves, none of them provide any blackout or reset of any kind, so I can make my way to Shalur City. Now I am inside Karina's gym after completely destroying Calem inside the Tower of Mastery. Some of you may be thinking I'm going through this video a little bit too fast, but with something as intuitive as this thing, and the fact I'm still at 0 resets, my only blackout was the Relicanth guy in Grant's gym, there really isn't too much to talk about with me just talking about complete garbage that no one wants to hear about. So let's go ahead and take on the third gym leader, Karina. This might honestly be one of the easiest gym battles in the whole game. I have Oblivion Wing on my learn set now. I got the move at level 26. I go ahead and just use the move to one-shot her entire team. Even if any of them did damage to me, Oblivion Wing would just completely heal it, and Karina is now completely devastated. So now I just go in the Tower Mastery, do the Lucario Mega Evolution stuff, and now I can get the HM for Surf and then get the free Lapras. I then hitch a ride on a little Skidoo, and I get the leftovers, skip all the trainers, and enter Cormarine City. I actually do get something here that is going to be important. I get the elixir on this little dock right here, and I talk to this guy. He sells incenses. I actually give Yveltal the lax incense instead of the amulet coin. Even though I'm not holding the amulet coin for a bunch of extra money for vitamins, I'm still going to get a buttload of money anyway. But what the lax incense does is it does give the opponent's moves a slight extra chance of missing. It's just going to make double team a slight bit better. But it's not that big a deal. It's just a good, decent held item that I actually recommended, and it takes no time to buy it. So now I can take this train up to the upper half of Cormarine City, destroy the rival, and I will do the same for the grass-type gym leader. Ramos leads off with his Jump Pluff. I go ahead and use Oblivion Wing, completely one-shot it, and heal my HP. Next up is the Go-Goat. I use Oblivion Wing. It actually lives. Man, good job, Go-Goat. So now I have to use Air Slash followed by Snarl. I am starting to run low on PP on Air Slash and Oblivion Wing. So now I'm going to have to try and take down the Weepin' Bell with Snarl. So I'm not going to be able to have a flying type move, but Snarl ends up one-shotting it anyway, and I defeat Ramos. Alright, 4 badges down, 4 more to go. But the 5th one I am still kind of worried about, because Clement is the user of electric types, and I think he might actually be harder than Grant in this run. We'll see though. I defeat all of the Team Flare Grunts in the power plant without any unfortunate issues arising, and then I head back to Lumio City, enter the Prism Tower, and go take on the electric type gym leader, Clement. He leads off with his Emolga. Do I outspeed? Yes, I do. I go ahead and use one double team, and then the Emolga uses Volt Switch. So now at this point, I'm figuring out what to do. I have +1 double team in addition to the Lax Incense. I go ahead and use another one as Electric Terrain gets set up. I use Snarl to deal 3/4. Fortunately, Thunderbolt misses. I slowly take it out with Snarl. Good thing Steel doesn't resist Dark anymore. And next up is the Heliolisk. I go ahead and use Snarl for less than half, and then I move over to Oblivion Wing, only doing 1/4. Then Thunderbolt manages to hit, doing slightly less than half. If I didn't have double team here, I would have been completely destroyed here. I'm not even kidding. And then Snarl one-shots the Emolga, and Clement is taken out on the first try. Yeah, double team is really saving this guy. I kind of feel bad, but at the same time, rules are rules. I just can't use the TM for double team, because if I allowed the TM for it, literally everyone would have that broken move. And I feel like that doesn't really make things fun. But hey, when I do get to use it by level up, it's quite fun. Next up, I have to head north on Route 14. I have to do a mandatory fight with the rival. This is the first battle where his starter is now a fully evolved Delphox, but unlike Xerneas, Yveltal is not going to have any issues here, mainly because Psychic is weak to Dark, so I don't have to worry about the Delphox resisting any of my moves. So now I can get the rare candy behind the swing set, listen to a spooky story, not leave a tip because I'm an asshole, and now I can go to Laver City. This guy in the Pokemon Center sells vitamins. We may not have as much money because I didn't hold on to the amulet coin as long as I had hoped, but still, we have a decent amount of money. So today's vitamin of the day: 2 Carbos, 5 Calcium, and 4 Zinc. I end up doing the shopping at 2 separate trips because I cannot see the amount of EVs I have without Pokebite with my updating overlay. So I just bought the 2 Carboses, made sure I could use them, and then I bought everything else. I only bought 2 Carbos because in X and Y, this game just naturally gives you a ton of speed EVs, kind of like most other Pokemon games. So now I can go ahead into Valerie's gym, continually move right if I have multiple choices, and then I can get to Valerie easily and take on the fairy type gym leader, who should technically be a challenge. She leads off with Mawile, and this Mawile is incredibly pathetic. I start off with some double teams, it just spams Iron Defense and Crunch, not even attempting to use a fairy move on me. I don't even think this thing has a fairy move. I use Snarl followed by Oblivion Wing, then on the Mr. Mime, I'm going to use Oblivion Wing for around half. It sets up Light Screen, just attempting to be annoying, so I'm just going to have to keep spamming this move until Light Screen goes away, which it fortunately does sooner rather than later. I keep on using moves, and then I end up finishing off with Air Slash. Now for the Sylveon. Oblivion Wing only does a quarter, and then I get hit with Dazzling Gleam for massive damage. And then I use Air Slash, get a flinch, I get hit with another fairy move, and I am dead. Well, Valerie actually gave me my first reset. Dang, not the person I thought would give me a reset. The basic solution to my problem was just set up more double teams on the Mawile, and stall out the Light Screen on the Mr. Mime. It also attempted to set up Reflect 2, and once I get back to the Sylveon, Oblivion Wing does a quarter to a third. I just keep using the move. It for some reason decided to start only using Swift because it detected all of its other moves would miss because of my double teams, so I am actually able to defeat her. You know what I'm realizing? If I had done the rule where double team in all situations is banned, like no evasion boosting moves to level 100, Yveltal would have had resets at Grant, Clement, and Valerie by now. So this thing is really being held up. It's honestly kind of funny. So now I can clear out the Pokeball factory, get myself a Master Ball for the Xerneas for later, and then I can head my way onto Route 15, enter Dendemil Town, and then make my way to the Frost Cavern. I am a little bit worried about this place, not only because of all the fighting types with the black belts with rock moves, but there's also going to be trainers in here that use ice-type Pokemon, especially one of the Team Flare admins coming up who will have access to Weavile, and I am really worried about that person. In fact, one of the biggest reasons we went with a plus speed nature was just because of Mabel's Weavile, especially the one in the Lysander labs. That one has around 130 something speed, so it's going to be incredibly fast. Fortunately for me and for Yveltal, Frost Cavern doesn't provide any trouble at all, and I can go ahead back to Dendemil Town, head my way towards Route 16, board a Mamoswine, get the rare candy, and now I am in Anastar City. I go ahead and get the TM for return, and today our hidden power typing is Hidden Power Ground. This is mainly going to be useful for Wickstrom, but it will have some other uses coming up soon. And one of those reasons is actually Calem's Jolteon at the rival fight in front of Olympia's gym. With Hidden Power Ground, I'm actually able to two-shot it, not giving it the chance to completely destroy Yveltal with moves like Discharge. So now with Calem defeated, why don't we go test out our strength on Olympia? She leads off with Sigilyph. I go ahead and use Dark Pulse, which I had learned via level up at level 44. I one-shot the Sigilyph, one-shot the Slowking, and will I one-shot the Meowstic? It hits me with Fake Out, and I one-shot it. Yeah, Olympia, I know this doesn't really mean much for X and Y. I think Olympia is one of the worst gym leaders in the game. But if you were to ask me who I think the worst is, if you don't count Viola, because she's the first gym leader, give her a break, I would probably have to say Wolfric, but I think Olympia might just top that. Now, with 7 badges under our belt, I get that dreaded phone call from Lysander telling us he's going to destroy the world and stuff like that. I'm not going to really show off much of anything in this whole section. I do get the usual stuff, like I do get a rare candy that's here, and I do a lot of Team Flare fights, but I guess you want me to show you the Mabel Weavile? I'll go ahead and fade out to that. Mabel leads off with her Houndoom. I'm not really worried about the Houndoom though. I go ahead and use an Oblivion Wing and a Dark Pulse to knock it out. Then on the Weavile, it hits me with Ice Punch, and then I am able to use Oblivion Wing on it and actually knock it out. So even though it did outspeed me despite the timid nature, at least Ice Punch didn't really do too much. I guess I was just so worried about the ice move damage, I didn't take into account how bulky this thing is. This thing has 90 in the defensive stats with 126 HP, like, that is incredibly bulky. I need to give this thing more credit than I give it. All the way in the second part of the Team Flare hideout in Geosenge Town, I go ahead and catch the Xerneas. I don't want to add it to my party, so now let's go take on the final boss fight with Lysander. He is going to be a bit harder than he was with Xerneas, mainly because 3 out of 4 of his Pokemon are weak to Fairy, Gyarados if you count the Mega Evolution. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to Oblivion Wing the Mienshao to one-shot it. Next up is the Pyroar. I do have Hidden Power on my Learn Set, but I'm going to set up a Double Team or 2 first. So then when my double teams are set up, I use Oblivion Wing to get a bunch of my HP back, and then the Pyroar goes down after the second hit. Then on the Honchkrow, it barely survives an Oblivion Wing, but I am able to knock it out. And now for the Gyarados. I go ahead and just continue spamming Oblivion Wing just because it is my most powerful move. Oblivion Wing only does a third, it misses Aqua Tail, it hits me for the second time only doing a third, and then I level up to level 55, I deny learning Phantom Force, and now Lysander is finished once and for all. So now I can head back to Anastar, make my way through Kuraway Town, defeat the Professor, and now on this wooden bridge here, I have to take on all my friends. These battles are normally pretty easy, but however, Axew even mentioned this, I think the hardest battle here is going to be with Trevor, and it's mainly going to be because of his Raichu and Aerodactyl, so I will actually show off the fight in its entirety. He leads off with his Raichu. I go ahead and use Hidden Power on it turn 1. Hidden Power Ground was also mainly to deal with the Raichu. It lives and hits me with Nuzzle, so now I'm paralyzed. That's not good. Next up is the Florges. I go ahead and use an Oblivion Wing after it sets up Misty Terrain, only doing a third. Yeah, this isn't looking too good. And it doesn't help that the Florges is spamming Confide, lowering my special attack, so it's able to remain in red health. Unfortunately, I don't think Trevor uses full restores or hyper potions or anything like that, because I am able to knock it out. And then last up is the Aerodactyl. I go ahead and switch on over to Dark Pulse. It outspeeds and hits me with Supersonic, and I hit myself in confusion, not once, but twice. And then I hit the Aerodactyl with Dark Pulse, and fortunately, I am able to knock it out with my second one. So yeah, you see how bad this fight could have been? Fortunately, things didn't take a turn for the worst, but they still could have went really bad. I can go ahead and enter Snowbell City, head on down to Pokemon Village, get Wulfric to get back to his gym, get the Max Ether that's here, and now we need to go take on the 8th gym leader, Wulfric. I am a little bit worried here because I am weak to ice. Wulfric leads off with Obama Snow. Fortunately, it is weak to Oblivion Wing because of its part grass typing. However, I realized I only have one Oblivion Wing left. That's not good. I misclick and use Hidden Power on it, doing very little damage, and then he switches out and sends in Cryogonal. Cryogonal has extremely high special defense, and the Hail ends up giving me a reset. Now that I'm looking back at this, I probably should have switched to a physical set just to deal with Wulfric because of that Cryogonal, but let's see how I do this battle on the second try. On the next attempt, I used Thief, which I taught over Hidden Power, and then I used Oblivion Wing just to finish it off. The main reason I taught Thief is purely physical damage. A 40 base power Thief with stab at 60, it's physical. It's a lot weaker than my other moves, but it's able to one-shot the Cryogonal because Cryogonal only has base 30 defense, but over 100 special defense. So Thief ended up being really useful here. I actually got the TM for this back in the town with the Pokeflute Castle. I can't remember what the town's called, but that's where I got it from. So now with Wulfric defeated, I go ahead and enter the Victory Road. I do want to skip ahead though, straight to the rival battle up here with Calum. Remember how I mentioned I was so worried about the Jolteon at this fight specifically? Well, here's the fight in its entirety. He leads off with Meowstic. I send out Yveltal. First things first, I use a Dark Pulse to try and one-shot the Meowstic, which fortunately it does after it used Fake Out. Then on the Jolteon, I use Dark Pulse. It hits me with Discharge, which gets a critical hit and paralyzes me. And the Dark Pulse, despite being boosted by Dark Aura, allows it to live at red health, and it knocks me out. Alright, so at this point, I have a bunch of rare candies picked up, so I go ahead and use all of them just to try and deal with that Jolteon. You know something that's really annoying though? When I come back here at level 68, I thought Hidden Power Ground would do the one-shot, but I honestly should have just stuck with Dark Pulse because it lived in red health and Discharge paralyzes me again, and then I go ahead and use a second Hidden Power to knock it out. Then on the Altaria, I tried to use Oblivion Wing to heal up. It hits me with Dazzling Gleam, but fortunately, since it didn't get stabbed, I am able to barely live, and it may also be thanks to all those zinc I bought back in Laver City. So then I'm able to knock it out, heal some of my health back, and then on the Absol, it uses Swords Dance, and then hits me with Slash, gets a crit, and I lose. I do win on the third try though, so now I can go through the rest of these trainers and make my way to the league. I enter the center, heal up, buy some full restores, and now I can take on the final 5 trainers. Let's do this shit. The first Elite Four member I choose to take on is Malva. I go ahead and set up a double team on the Pyroar just to get started with some setup. It hits me with Hyper Voice, dealing not that much damage. Oblivion Wing does about 3/4, and then I just continue using it. And then on the Torkoal, I switch over to Dark Pulse, giving it the one-shot. Now that I've been looking back at this run, I should have just had Dark Pulse as my spamming move, just because of Dark Aura being a thing. So then the Talonflame goes down, and then Chandelure is a one-shot with Dark Pulse. The next Elite Four member I take on is Wikstrom. This is another moment in the run where Hidden Power Ground is going to help a lot. He leads off with Klefki. I use a double team, Dazzling Gleam only does 1/4, but then it hits me again multiple times through the double team. I have to use Oblivion Wing to try and get some of my health back, and then I use Hidden Power Ground to defeat it. And then on the Probopass, I use an Oblivion Wing just because Probopass does have Sturdy, so then I can use Hidden Power Ground to finish it off. Then on the Aegislash, I try to use Dark Pulse on it, it stalls with Protect, but fortunately I'm able to knock it out. Then on the Scizor, I go ahead and use 2 Oblivion Wings, and I'm able to defeat the Scizor. Next up is the Dragon Elite Four member, Drozna. It isn't completely safe to set up on her Dragalge because it does have Sludge Bomb, which has a very high chance to poison, but we'll see what happens. It does hit me with Thunderbolt, which I forgot it had, but it only does roughly 1/5 to me, which is kind of hilarious. Although I am paralyzed though, so I need to keep using Oblivion Wing to try and keep my health high, although I am getting kind of paranoid about this fight now, I'm not gonna lie. After many Oblivion Wings, I finally knocked the thing out, and now I'm going to try and start spamming Dark Pulse, which is effectively speaking my most powerful move. I defeat the Altaria, which has very high special defense. The Dark Pulse will 2-shot the Noivern. I get very low on health again, and the Noivern knocks me out. Yep, paralysis here to ruin the day yet again. On the second try though, I am able to get past the Dragalge without getting paralyzed from Thunderbolt, so I'm able to knock out her entire team. And then last up is the Water-type Elite Four member, Cybold. Cybold leads off with his Clawitzer. I go ahead and use Oblivion Wing, it hits me with Water Pulse, which confuses me. I hit myself once, but fortunately the confusion wears off rather quickly. I do have 1 or 2 double teams set up, so it's not too bad. I use Oblivion Wing for 1/4, mainly try to heal some health back, and then it hits me with Stone Edge, doing massive damage. Fortunately, another one missed, but another one did hit. So this Barbaracle is actually kind of bad. And then I end up defeating it. Then Dark Pulse is going to obviously one-shot the Starmie, and then last up is the Gyarados. I go ahead and switch over to Oblivion Wing to try and get some health back, although I really should have just stuck with Dark Pulse. I don't think Dark Pulse would have knocked it out either way, but it would have been technically a better decision. And now, we can go take on the champion, Diantha. She leads off with her Hawlucha. I go ahead and set up some double teams as it's trying to use Flying Press on me to no avail. Once I get to +4, Oblivion Wing will one-shot the Hawlucha. I get to level 72, I don't learn Focus Blast. And now on the Tyrantrum, I use Dark Pulse for the one-shot. And next is the Aurorus. It has a lot of special defense and allows it to live, and it sets up Light Screen. Okay, this is not too good. And then I use Hidden Power Ground, seeing if it would be any better, and it is not. I should just stick to Dark Pulse. Fortunately, it just really cannot hit me with anything just because of the double teams. I'm able to stall out the Light Screen and knock it out. Then on the Goodra, I use an Oblivion Wing to try and get some health back, although I should have just started spamming Dark Pulse. I just keep forgetting Dark Aura is a thing. And then on the Gourgeist, I just use Oblivion Wing anyway. I feel like that didn't matter. Either way, it was going to be a one-shot. And now on the Gardevoir, I will switch over to Dark Pulse. It Mega Evolves into Mega Gardevoir. Dark Pulse only does half. It misses its move, I knock it out, and Yveltal has finished the run. With a real time of 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 38 seconds, with 5 resets, at level 72, with a game time after the credits of 6 hours and 30 minutes. So we're just going to look immediately at the leaderboard. Yveltal was only faster than Xerneas by around 50 seconds. These two ended up being very similar, although I think Yveltal definitely has the most amount of room for improvement. I mean, Xerneas does as well, but the main problem with Yveltal is that it does have to rely on double team setup, plus I did get real unlucky at a bunch of fights. But the problem is with Xerneas, all those resets I had with Xerneas weren't because of bad luck, it was because of bad player choice. Like, for example, not using ethers and stuff. But still, the fact that the Dark type got a better time than Xerneas, honestly, that's purely because of double team. There were a lot of gym leaders where Yveltal should have had a lot of problems, but with the addition to double team, it didn't have to really deal with them that much. I mean, yeah, I got resets at some of them, but I would have had a lot more if I didn't have double team. But honestly, I think if I did have double team, my whole strat would have been completely different. I would have been using like Hone Claw's Snarl or something. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more, and be sure to support the channel through YouTube memberships or follow my socials. All YouTube members get access to all the backports that we've ever done on stream. There will be Google Drive links with all the patch files if you want to play them. Anyway, that's it for Pokemon X this week. The game we'll be doing next week is Pokemon Emerald. We'll be doing the game with 2 pretty well-known Gen 3 water types, although I don't know how well-known they are. We're going to be doing the game with Huntail and Gorobus. Those Pokemon aren't as good as you may think, but we'll save that for next week. Anyway, I will see you all in the next video.